Mike in there. You all ready?
Yep.
Let's do it. Hello there, and welcome to the Rapid Reaction Podcast here on HawkFanatic.com. I'm Rob Howe, joined as always by, well, mostly always. Sometimes we have a fill-in, but Jordan Canzeri and Jovan Johnson, the regulars here on the Rapid Reaction Podcast. They had to hear me bitching coming into this thing before we started recording about the combinations that we get at Purdue. I don't know what it's like from a fan perspective, guys, but is that the worst locker room in the Big Ten?
By far. I mean, they are trying to, I'm assuming they're trying to do some things to restructure it, but my God, that is the worst stadium in the Big Ten.
Yeah, they renovated the stadium itself, and there's some cool things within the stadium, but I think, and Jim Harbaugh complained about it a few years ago because they had a guy that was hurt and they didn't have like a area in there to work on the kid. And I don't know if they've updated that, but for those that don't know, it's basically an outpost, like at the back of a stadium, where there's just it's tight and disgusting, and it's got to be planned, Jordan. They have to do that as a psychological thing. That's their answer, I guess, to the pink locker room.
Yeah, I mean, you would hope that that's what they were thinking, but yeah, I think it's just money choices. So hope get at some point.
Well, it didn't matter yesterday for the Hawkeyes. They could have been in a cardboard box, I think, after that game, and everything would have been fine. The complete game that we've been waiting for all season long, where all three phases come together and win a game on the road that a lot of people, I would say most people, didn't expect them to win. 3.5-point underdogs come through. 24-3. As I do on these podcasts, I kind of let you guys have your opening thoughts. We'll start with you, Jordan. Just overall impressions of what you saw yesterday.
As you said, I mean, it was all three phases working together, and I was even hyped myself when I saw College game day. Everybody voted against us, so it was awesome to see. Obviously, and we'll touch on later. Caleb Johnson, he had his big showing finally, and he showed glimpses. And it's funny because my man, he has the speed, but maybe not as much. But he just reminds me a little bit of form of like a DeAnthony Thomas. It's guys who they run fast, but they don't look like they are. Like their movement's so smooth that even though he's outpacing everybody, his arms and his leg action aren't as what you would see a shorter back like myself have to, So great game for him. Great game for the offense. Petrus, no turnovers. I mean, it's what you can ask for and what you want from an offense.
Jovan?
I mean, I'll take the different approach and spin it a little bit defensively. I mean, you played against a very good Purdue offense. Aiden O'Connell, one of the better quarterbacks in the Big Ten. The Iowa transfer, Charlie Jones. They played an outstanding game, but defensively only give up 3 points. And anytime you only give up 3 points and you got all three phases working together, the complete game is an understatement. I mean, that is complete dominance, if you ask me. Offense, they finally got it clicking, everybody working together, offensive line, leading the charge with the run game. Petrus being able to distribute the ball and not turn it over, putting guys in position to make plays. And, you use the backs, your check downs, you use the tight ends, you use the receivers, you use a lot of different factors that help win the game. So, the complete game, and it was very exciting to see.
Yep.
No doubt. I'll give people some some individual numbers here if they did not see the box score. Caleb Johnson, true freshman running back out of Hamilton, Ohio, 22 carries, 200 even, and a touchdown. The 75-yarder he ripped off. Even Coach Ferentz mentioned after the game, we haven't seen that a lot recently. I think Ty Good had a 80-yarder against Wisconsin maybe during the pandemic, but haven't had a lot of long just breakout runs like that. And he did it on a day when LaShawn Williams and Gavin Williams were dinged up and hadn't practiced much this week. So they leaned on the freshman even more. Jesuan Patterson got in there, 4 carries, 4 yards, got his feet wet. That was good to see. Sam Laporta, 3 catches, 71 yards and a touchdown. Nico Ragaini, 3 catches, 56 yards and a touch. Petrus, 13 for 23, 192 and 2. Sacked 3 times. Want to see some of those cleaned up. He got nailed once when somebody missed an assignment. Charlie Jones, 19 targets, 11 catches, 104, no touchdowns. Really empty yards at the end of the day when you score 3 points. And Aiden O'Connell, 20 of 43, no touchdowns, 2 picks for 168. So, as Jovan said, complete dominance there. Coming back to you, Jordan, Caleb was talking yesterday about, he's still a freshman, right? You kind of can see some of those things when he's running. You're like, oh, I don't think he realizes how good he is. And there was one run where he was ahead of the pack and he almost stopped and let them catch up. And then, Liddell Betts, he said, Coach Betts is telling me I got to finish my runs. Just what you see with him, kind of what he can do just on raw ability and what maybe the next step is for him.
Yeah, definitely. Again, I can see what Coach is saying for a couple plays I noticed with finishing the run, but that's the great thing, right? To have a freshman who had the outing that he did with still so much room for improvement positively. And so that's really good to see, real excited to see how he finishes the season. And then so far he's placed himself in the position to be that guy, and we'll see for, maybe his full 4 years there. So definitely exciting. As I said, the one thing offensively that I just thought they did really well was just putting their guys in the positions to make those sort of plays where I know with Johnson, he was successful with stretch plays, just giving a little more time to read the defense and make the cut. But with Petrus, I definitely thought they did a great job with, obviously we love doing play action, but booting him just as normal and even a little more so to keep him comfortable, not having to just in the pocket. When he was in the pocket, they were doing a lot of quick crossing route checkdowns and dropping off to the running back. So they definitely have adjusted the right way, looking at film and just how our offensive line was breaking down. But even they stepped up better yesterday. Just all around, they really did make those adjustments that we're looking for, and you could see what happened.
Yeah, Spencer told us after the game, and it was pretty obvious watching the game, but for those listening and were wondering, that the play to Reganey, the touchdown to Reganey, was a hot route. Purdue blitzed. Spencer saw it, hit him quick with it. He got in space. He had some good blocks, man, on that play. Some really good blocks from some of the guys to help get him into the end zone. I wanted to mention, let people know too, that Caleb, that was the first 200-yard rushing. It was the 18th 200-yard rushing game in program history, and the second most ever by a Hawkeye freshman all time. Marcus Coker had 219 against Missouri back in the Insight Bowl. Many of you folks will remember. Jovan, anything to add on Caleb? I know you've been tooting his horn since early in the season in this podcast. Both of you guys have.
Yeah, he's a dynamic runner. I mean, for such a young guy, his ability is amazing. He reminds me of a lot of great Iowa running backs, guys like Sean Green, guys that just are built physically and they are faster than they look. But he's one of those guys that he just gets it done week in and week out. You know, he can be an every down back. He has the ability to do so, but you know, obviously right now the Iowa running back room is running backs by committee, but I think he cemented himself in this game to become the running back of the future for the program. And I think he's without a doubt probably the best guy for the job right now.
They threw a couple times to him, Jordan. They threw the, I think LaShawn once too. If I may have that off, but throwing to the backs a little bit more yesterday. That's a little bit more of a wrinkle too, and it kind of gives more. We talked about it earlier this season. You put more on film and you give people a little bit more to think about.
Yeah, definitely need to utilize the check downs, especially when having pressure. So they, as I said, I really think they utilized the resources and made the adjustments that we've been talking about for a bit. And again, defense, they just once again shut down, did their job. I'll to Coach Parker's horn, because I tell everybody, whoever wants to talk to me about Iowa football, that man is just unreal. The fact that even though we lose top guy, the week before, 7 different players had a sack. And then yesterday, my man had no time. Like, it was just all around our secondary making the plays, just being where they need to be, getting the interceptions. It's always you can expect a good outing, even though again, so personally, I for the season will always lean towards the offense more than the background. But again, it's that we understood, and it's hard to stop teams as much as you can when the offense isn't doing their job. But all year playing long.
Yeah, Lucas Van Ness is a problem for sure. That kid's only in his 3rd year, and you can kind of just see the talent oozing out of him. Jovan, they talked. Talking to some, Kayvon and Riley Moss on Tuesday. They brought up, the dinking and dunking that Purdue does and how that's kind of bothered them in the recent years, especially with David Bell. They played more man yesterday, man. They still played the cover 2 and played some zone, but I thought getting up and pressing the Purdue receivers in combination with that pass rush really was the recipe yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, Purdue always, they've always traditionally been one of those offenses that likes to go 4 and 5 wide and, throw the ball quick and do all these little stupid things that you hate playing against, especially when you're a primary zone team. I remember back when I was playing at Iowa, and Coach Parker made the adjustment of putting us in more man and nickel situations, manning up guys to take away those quick game throws. And we had different packages and things where we would play man and force them to have to try to beat us over the top, and they just couldn't do it. I mean, even with the great receivers that they had, they just couldn't. They could never win that way. So, it's beautiful to see, coming out of your comfort zone and allowing the DBs to progress and add different things to their tool belts, getting up and pressing guys and being physical, showing that you can play man if you need it, is something that you can hang your hat on. But defensively, again, they just played outstanding. When you play man, you obviously want to get after the quarterback. That way you make them uncomfortable and not really give them time to dissect what's going on. But Coach Parker, like Jordan said, is one of the best around. And ironically, I mean, a lot of people probably don't know, but Iowa does 80% of what they do defensively is always the same. It's not much different. They're going to play 8, they're going to play quarter, half, and and then they'll get after you at times. And that's just the beauty of it. The less you have to prepare for it, the faster the players are able to play. And the players get really good at playing the style that they play, and it makes it tough for offenses to try to move the ball up and down the field.
Yeah, and I agree with everything you said, and it was funny while I was watching. Once Purdue figured out they were pressing and coming up, they put Charlie. They made sure Cooper was on Charlie. Cooper DeJean was on Charlie, and I don't think they understood what they were getting with Cooper DeJean, man. because I know Charlie got some balls in the second half, but Cooper was just blanketing him in that first half.
Yeah, man, that kid's an up and coming star at Iowa. You know, you got him for some more years, and then I mean, you got two really good corners in Riley Moss and Cooper DeJean. You know, then you add Terry Roberts in the mix when he can stay healthy. You also got Jamar, who hasn't really played much this year. I mean, they have the luxury of defensive backs that they can really put out there and get the job done. So you know, there's no drop off from 1 to 3 in that cornerback room. So you just keep building on that, building on what their strengths are, and just keep building forward for the future with them.
Yeah, Jordan, they kind of they were throwing a lot of different looks in the secondary at Purdue. They had, you know, with the unfortunate injury to Terry Roberts and Jamari then being out for the season-ending injury, Cooper's had to go to corner, which isn't a bad thing. But then Sebastian Castro's come in and done a wonderful job at Cash. And then TJ Hall, the true freshman, got some important run yesterday too. And they like Jovan was saying, Phil and even Norm, and God rest his soul, they kind of like to stay with that base, man. They don't like to get out of that. But yesterday, Phil really had some nice wrinkles for what Purdue likes to do.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I could get off my couch right now and get back in, even as a running back, and I feel Phil will put me in the right position to make a play. Because again, it's my favorite story a lot, even though I didn't play Indiana. Senior year, I think it was when Desmond got his 9th interception. Not sure about the number, but I'll never forget standing there next to Phil Parker, and before the ball was snapped, he's screaming to Desmond, the wheel, the wheel, the wheel, the wheel. And the wheel came, the quarterback threw the wheel, Desmond was right there and caught the pick. And it's like when you have a mastermind like that, it really, you can have these younger guys who are athletes. I'm not saying that they're not capable, but again, they're able to come into a system. As Javon said, they can just quickly adjust and apply because you have coaches who can, you know, teach it so well and keep things simple, but at the same time, very effective.
I wanted to ask you about Van Ness, Jovan. He kind of gets lost in the shuffle because you got Jack Campbell and Riley Moss and Cooper. We talked there's a lot of really good defenders here, and he just seems kind of flying under the radar, man. But he is a menace.
I mean, have you seen him? I mean, when you see the kid, I mean, my goodness, he looks like an action figure. Like he's built the right way. I mean, he's tall, he's long, physical. I mean, the kid is just a superstar flying under the radar. But you know, when you think about all of the Iowa defensive linemen that have been successful in the Iowa program throughout the years, I mean, I think he ranks right up there with those guys. You know, but the unfortunate reality for him is that he has those two linebackers in the middle that are hogging up all the attention. So he's not really getting the same luxury of being noticed like everybody else did, because they're more dominant from the linebacking core than they are up front. But he is a menace, and he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I think he's going to get a shot at the next level.
Yeah, I don't want to leave my defensive guys out here from reading the statistics off. This is awesome. Leading Iowa with tackles yesterday, Quinn Schulte and Jack Campbell each had 6. After that, Noah Shannon and Deontay Craig, another up-and-comer, each had 5. Then you had Higgins, DeJean, and Benson all with 4 tackles. And then you had Lucas Van Ness, Ethan Herkett, another guy that's playing well off the bench, Aaron Graves, and Kayvon with 3. So that's what, 3, 6, 10 different guys had at least 3 tackles.
Hey, that's impressive. I mean, you know what that is an attest to. That's a testament to Phil Parker and that defensive staff for holding those guys accountable with playing with outstanding effort and running to the football. Because, you know, good things happen when all 11 guys are flying and attacking the football. And that's how you end up with 10 out of 11 guys with 3 or more tackles.
Wonderful win for Iowa. Good fan representation down there in West Lafayette, which isn't surprising. You can bring, pull people up from Indy and down from Chicago. So closer game for some folks than Iowa City, and Iowa sold out at home this year. So tickets are a little tougher to come by, and they're a little easier to get when you go to West Lafayette. But let's turn the page. And Purdue had won 4 or 5, beat Iowa last year when the Hawks were number 2 in the country and unbeaten, and kind of that was a thorn in the side. And then you have, the Charlie Jones and Tyrone Tracy angle of it, and guys played it down a little bit publicly. And we asked Kayvon after the game last night because we could tell there was some jawing going on after a few of the hits. And we asked him what he said. He said, "Nah, that stays out on the field." And after the game, some real nice sportsmanship, Charlie hugging LeVar Woods and his former teammates. I think there's plenty of love there. And it was a business decision for Charlie, and it's worked out for him. And Iowa's kind of got things going. So everybody
worked out for him, isn't it?
Everybody left West.
My man had 19 targets.
Yeah,
19 targets against the Hawks. I mean, shoot.
I don't know if any wide receivers have gotten 19 targets all season. But this next week, guys, I don't have to tell you, the Wisconsin week is different around here. That's that's been for Iowa. It's been Iowa and Wisconsin when you talk about the Western Division teams. Even before there were divisions, the Iowa, Wisconsin for the last 20 years, usually whichever team gets that one, that's the team that's having the year that's going to the big bowl and, now the Big Ten championship game. The Badgers also have turned things around, not surprisingly, and playing well now, beat Maryland yesterday. Jordan, from a offensive perspective, they do some things defensively that can create issues. They got the 3-man front with bringing linebackers from different spots. Talk a little bit about some of the challenges that defense presents.
I can say right off the rip that our running backs need for blitz protection. I remember my senior year, I had to meet their middle linebacker in the A gap at least 5 times. And those are those moments when you gotta love contact, because you have to just go in there and just wreck. No holding back, nothing. So our running backs got to be prepared to help protect our quarterback, and the same thing with their line. Do what we did this week. Same thing that we did Purdue. Just check downs, utilizing quicker throws, underneath crossing routes for if they send a blitz for a guy like Ray Gini, just to give him an opportunity. Peter just has to be quick with his decisions because they will bring pressure. But we just got to keep feeding my man Laporta, and we'll be fine. So, yeah, I think they're a team that this will be a slower pace game, but not something that we're not capable of taking advantage.
And you got, even though there's a chance that the running game's not going to get going for a bit, you still have to show it, right? Because if not, these guys will just pin their ears back.
Yep, we have to establish the run, control the line of scrimmage to put ourselves in the best opportunity with every game. But even if we get stopped up, we got to just continue to give a guy like Johnson the rock, because you just never know when you have a kid like him, it could be a 1 yard, 2 yard, 1 yard, all of a sudden an 18. So you have to just continue to try to establish the run, even if it doesn't work early.
Well, let folks know that support for this podcast comes from Systems Unlimited, celebrating 50 years of providing services to people living with disabilities and mental health needs throughout East Central Iowa. A list of their services and upcoming events can be found at sui.org. Jovan, from an offensive standpoint, you go from a team that wants to throw the ball all over the yard to one that wants to pound it down your throat.
Yeah, they got a good running back. I mean, they got a good running back. Wisconsin traditionally has good running backs. So, typically they like to run the football. They'll mix in some play action pass. You know, they typically have bigger receivers that do a good job of blocking on the edge. But I think we match up very well with what they do. Our front seven is probably the best that they've seen all this year, and our DBs are going to be prepared to lock down the receivers that they have. I don't think they have too many big play guys, guys with great speed or anything like that are going to put any fear in anybody's hearts. So we'll be able to move and get 9 in the box in the blink of an eye. So I think we'll be able to contain their run game. It's just about guys doing their 111th and, you know, just doing your job, not trying to do too much, making sure everybody stays gapped out and playing physical at the point of attack. And I know that Phil and the defensive staff is going to be preaching that all week. Let's make sure we are where we're supposed to be and not trying to do too much. Just do your part and everything else will work itself out.
Your little guy, maybe he got a game plan that he can share with us.
Yeah, she ain't into too much football.
It's a she. I apologize. She's cute, man. Hello.
Well, with her as a witness, say put it down right now. I'm calling my man Jack Campbell to have 11 tackles. He's gonna go off.
Middle linebacker is so important in this game, right, guys? Because of what Wisconsin wants to do up the middle. You really got to be on your game when you're in the middle. And who better to have there than Captain Jack?
And just to add to what Jordan said about the offense and the 3-man front, we play at the high school that I'm coaching at. We have a multiple defense where we play the Iowa style. We do a lot of the cover 8 stuff, but we will mix in some 3-down fronts because it gives offenses headaches because they don't really see it as much. But the beauty of it, when you're playing against a team that plays 3-down fronts, it gives you beautiful angles, especially the way that Iowa plays with the stretch offense and stuff like that. If you can win on first down and get into second and manageable situations, it's going to force the hand of the defense because now they can't attack you and blitz you. They want to get you in the first or second and long so that they got you behind the sticks and they can try to attack you. So you just got to win on first down and make sure that, you know, the running backs are picking up blitz protection, like Jordan said, because of the multiple of blitzes that you can bring from so many different places. You could just bring one guy and get to a 4-man front and it looks like a blitz. So it's just something unique and unorthodox that a lot of people don't really see, especially in the Big Ten. But, you know, when you got a young defensive coordinator like Jim Leonard, you know, who's been around the game of football for so long and played at the highest levels, you know, was a standout at Wisconsin, and him being I think he's the interim head coach right now, you know, auditioning for a job. So he's going to get those guys playing fast and trying to play out of their minds. So, you know, but at the end of the day, you just got to win on first down versus a 3-down front. If you can get 5 yards on first down, it makes them very predictable as how they can attack you. So, you know, and I've seen it because we do it. But when you get into situations where teams are going to run right at you, then it takes away from the effectiveness of it.
You got to be a little less predictable too on those early downs, don't you, Jordan? Because they look for tendencies, and you know, if I was just going to come out and hand it off on first down every time, they're going to know it's coming, and may have to mix things up a little bit. Some motion. I thought the motion was better at Purdue, kind of getting the eyes of the guys on the second and third level moving a little bit. I think that would probably behoove Iowa to do some of that stuff this week too.
Oh yeah, got to use everything at their disposal at this point, and again, just carry on what was successful against Purdue this past weekend. But yeah, Wisconsin knows how we like to play. So I know they'll have some plays set up to obviously counter, but we'll be on the same page where it can look like a typical stretch play of ours. We'll hit it, hammer it about 4 times, and all of a sudden we do it. And it's Laporta coming back across in the shallow. So it's like different things like that. Is just our bread and butter. And as Javon said, I think that our defense will play great against this team, keep us in the game, keep the scoring low. And hoping if any at all, but our offense will be able to execute. So look, I think we can get it done this week for sure.
Yeah, and this is my first podcast I've done since yesterday, obviously, and I don't want to apologize to him, but I think I want to give him credit where credit is due. Spencer's had a tough year, man, and we've certainly, critiqued him on this podcast. But me personally, I want to say the kid is a tough son of a gun to be able to go through what he's going through, being in the fishbowl in Iowa City, being the quarterback. The last 2 weeks, man, he's gotten it done.
Yeah, he stepped up, and again, there's two different things you can do, two perspectives you can take. You can accept that, take the victim mentality. Oh, everything bad is happening. All these people saying this about me. Everybody thinks I suck, and all these he's just been berated online. So he pushed that all aside, focused on his brothers in the locker room, focused on his team, and you can see, like you said, he's definitely making the adjustments and playing better these past 2 weeks. So hopefully, and I hope for him and obviously the team itself that I continue that going on to the rest of the season.
Yeah, we've been there, right? I mean, as a player, we've been there. I mean, there's been times where it hasn't been our best game. And there's people out there saying, hell, this person sucks and that person sucks. But at the end of the day, the only people that matter is those guys in the locker room with you. The outsiders can say what they want. There's always going to be somebody that's just a negative Andy that always wants to just demise, the play of anybody. But as a quarterback, the harsh reality is everything always comes back on your shoulders as a quarterback. And, you either stand up to the challenge or you fold under pressure. And he's done an amazing job of just weathering the storm and knowing that, there's better days ahead. And he's played his best football in the last 2 weeks. And, that's promising. And hopefully he continues to do so for the rest of the season.
Yeah, we'll get out of here in a second here. I just want to let folks know, in case you're not paying attention, this Big Ten West has gotten wild. Michigan State -8 guys because they were idiots at Michigan last week getting suspended, loses or wins at Illinois. And that really kind of brought Illinois back into the view of everybody else here, because it had already done well against teams in the division, including beating Iowa. But Illinois is at 4-2. Iowa, Purdue, Wisconsin, Minnesota, all 3-3. 3 games to go. These teams are going to be playing against each other, and may the best team win. It's there. If Iowa has 3 winnable games, 2 of them at home against rivals, 2 of them are all 3 of them trophy games. So, I mean, this is what you want, right, guys? This is the position you want to be in. You got a chance to win it. You got to go out and get it.
Yeah, love the position we're in right now, and a lot of energy is going to be around those games and to close out the season that way. And as we've just attested to with Petrus's play, offensively, we've been getting better and better. And as we said back when, after the Northwestern win, even though other people could have said we should have had that win, it's like we know how important that was for that energy to go into the following against Purdue. Now we played great against Purdue. So the momentum, the energy, emotion, everything's working right now in favor of our offense. And to have winnable games, trophy games, and still in a position to be able to win the West if Illinois slips up even more. It's all you can ask for how this season has gone.
Chance of snow next Saturday for the Wisconsin game.
Yeah, perfect. That's the great. We like it that way. But can we give Brian Ferentz a little bit of clap it up, because he's been another guy just like Spencer that has been having a target on his back, and people calling for his job and asking for his dad to fire him and all of that stuff. And the last couple of weeks they've shown a lot of promise and progress together, quarterback and coordinator together. And it's been promising to see. So that's always good. So give him some flowers there. But yeah, like Jordan said, you want to be in moments like these. The last 3 games, 3 trophy games, I know one thing for sure, that none of these next 3 games are going to be high scoring. That's for sure. They're going to be bloodbaths of guys just, getting after each other and may the best team come out on top. But I like Iowa's defense. As long as the offense continues to grow and continue to prosper, I think Iowa wins all 3. But, it's just going to take a 3-phase football game of all 3 phases working together and making sure that, the inevitable doesn't happen, where it falls apart. But Torrey Taylor, we need him to make sure he's keep pinning people inside the 20. And I think defensively, just keep getting the ball back to the offense, and then good things will work itself out.
Yeah, we gave props to Spencer. We gave props to Brian. They deserve it because they've been under the heat. Jordan, I think the last one is the offensive line, right? We've given them the business a little bit this year too, but it all starts up front. I know it's a cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason because it's true. And when you have some time to throw, it makes things a hell of a lot easier. If there's holes to run through, it makes things a hell of a lot easier. Offensive line's taken some steps the last few weeks.
Definitely. And one thing we commented on a few weeks back was, sometimes it just takes time to make certain adjustments with even players' positions and spot on the line. I know we've had some rotation, and right now it's starting to seem like we found the right recipe. And again, I just really hope they can continue it going forward. And I love the direction we're heading right now.
Yeah, and Connor Colby just looks more comfortable right now inside. And we've seen guys come through. Brandon Sheriff started inside when he was here and then moved outside later in his career. And we've seen it throughout the years. Sometimes you just got to get your foundation built on that inside. And maybe he moves outside, maybe he doesn't. But he looks better inside. And Jack Plum, give him credit too, 5th-year senior. Didn't win the job out of camp, was kind of just a rotational piece most of the season. Has come in the last few games and solidified that right tackle spot, and things coming together there. Logan Jones has taken steps. He's gotten maturity at that center spot. Guy was playing defensive line last year. He's come together. So the offensive line looks great. Anything you guys want to close with? We feel better now coming out, going into these last 3 than we did a few weeks ago.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, it's you guys don't realize it as fans listening out there, but these guys get a little bit more run too when they know people know where they went to school, and when they're walking around in their communities and wearing their Iowa gear, they get to say, "Yep, you guys were burying us a few weeks ago, and now here we are again."
Oh yeah, don't sleep on Iowa ever. So it's definitely again happy to see where we're heading. Excited to see where we go the rest of the season, and just really looking forward to go somewhere warm for a bowl game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it for sure. I can't wait. I mean, you think about the 3 Iowa Big Ten losses. I mean, they lost to Illinois, Ohio State, and Michigan. I mean, those are 3 impressive teams. I mean, Illinois. I mean, we had a chance to win, but Ohio State and Michigan are 2 of the premier programs in the Big Ten that always have top 10 recruiting classes. Iowa is somewhere down the line, and bringing guys that had no stars and turning them into superstars, and they do it on a consistent yearly basis. I think it's more impressive as what Iowa does versus having 10 5-star guys come in, and you don't really have to do too much, but you have to develop guys at Iowa. So, I mean, hats off to the staff and players for staying the course and not getting, down on themselves, and just keep plugging away and doing it the way Iowa does. And that's coming out on top, even when everybody else is against you.
No doubt. Hopefully, as I'm sure everybody listening hopes for, we're back here next week talking about a win against the Badgers, keeping the bowl in Iowa City, or bringing the bowl back to Iowa City. Last year's game was a tough one. That guys should be definitely motivated after what happened up there last year. So, all right, fellas, appreciate your time as always. Appreciate the sponsors here on the Rapid Reaction Podcast. Thank you everybody for listening, and we'll be back to talk to you next week after the Wisconsin